everyone, it's Larry here at LC Model Shipbuilding, and sorry for the delay in getting our next video out, but here we are back with the Smokey and the Bandit Trans Am. So we're going to be working on the interior starting right now. I know we left off with doing some engine work. Still working on the brackets for the AC and a couple other things, and then we'll get back to putting the engine in and getting all of that together. But we're going to go ahead and start on the interior. We're going to put carpet in on this one and get the dashboard wired up with lighting. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start with doing some of the interior work here on the car, and basically everything is molded in tan for the interior. However, the Bandit car is black, so we're going to obviously be painting it black and getting a more accurate color to that. But before we kind of start all of that, I'm just going to open it up here and take a look at the pieces, just so we kind of can see what they all look like. So a little bit of I guess you'd say reality with a car you got to think about is your floors are going to be flat, your seats are going to be more of a semi-gloss because they are going to be made out of like a leather. So what we're going to do is first give a base coat to all of the hard areas, basically being the seats, the dashboard, essentially all of the areas that would have been plastic. We're going to give them all a base coat of semi-gloss black. So we're going to go ahead and start spraying that a while. And then after we get that done with the door panels and everything's in that semi-gloss black, I will tape it all off, everything that's not semi-gloss, and then that's going to be a flat black that we're going to actually put a material down to kind of make a carpet out of. So that's essentially what the plan looks like. I am going to go ahead and put the seats together first before I paint them, just that way I don't have to worry about getting the sprue all kind of in the way of that. So we're going to do that, and then I'll get the paint done and come back to you here in a minute after the break. So I'm looking at the back of these seats here. I've got to take a look at the directions because it's showing two different, no, it's not two different options, I'm sorry. So that just goes on the back of the seat. So no biggie there. I thought that I was seeing a variation of two different styles, but I'm not. I just looked at the directions, and yes, it does show that. So essentially our seats go like this. We'll get these all filed up first and cleaned up, and then this piece kind of comes on the back of the seat like so. So that's basically what that'll look like. And these seats do not appear to be directional, from what I'm seeing anyway. 17 and 19, no, there does not appear to be directionals to it, so that's good. So yeah, they'll go like that, and that'll go right there. Alright, so I'm going to clean these up, get them filed up, and then we'll go ahead and get this stuff painted up. So be right back. So we got this painted, and this is actually just flat black, and I actually think the sheen is actually pretty good. I said actually about 30 times there, but it kind of has a good sheen for the look of leather. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna put that aside, and we're gonna make some homemade flocking, and flocking is what we're gonna use for our carpet. So what I have here is sawdust, and we're going to sift it, get all the big pieces out. We're going to have to sift it more than once, but we're going to start with the one and then kind of work our way up. And we'll use a smaller sifter as we go too, but you can buy flocking in a bag, or you can make it quite cheaply. So we're going to do that. So let me toss this out a minute. And we're going to do another sift. I didn't think that one out. I need a second container. No, this will work. Just got to be careful. Okay, so there's our first run. Now we're going to hit it again and not sift quite as hard. Trying to get these bigger pieces out like that. Okay, so now we have it pretty fine, and it's a pretty fine consistency, as you can see. So there's still some grain in there, but that's okay because it will go through another sifting level after we get the color added. So depending on how dark you go with your color, kind of determines how much paint you're going to need in this. Now, this is going to make an absolute ton, and we don't need this much, so I'm going to really only use probably about that much. The other, we can go a little bit more. The other thing is, it takes basically a night to dry, so you can see that's about how much I'm using. So it's not a terrible amount. I'm gonna hit one more little bit there. I get worried because I'm looking how big this model is compared to other cars that I've done in the past. All right, that should be enough. So I'm using essentially half of what I had here in my cup when I started. So what we're going to do is take some black paint, and let me just grab that. I almost picked up gunmetal. I don't want gunmetal. And we're just going to put a couple drops in first, about that much. And to start with, I'm just going to use kind of a stick. That's definitely not enough, not even close. So we're going to add some paint. And I think I'm going to get some of the craft type paint out instead of using my Tamiya, because that'll get costly pretty quick. So let me grab some of that, and I'm also going to need some foil. So okay, so now I'm using just typical crafter paint that's like 50 cents a bottle, a little bit cheaper than the $4 Tamiya stuff. But we're going to just stir this up. Until we get kind of a real clumpy, not clumpy, but dry type, grainy type material. Now, ideally, you want this to take on the color without really being able to see any wood in there. And by the time we're done, I don't think you will really see any wood. But you can see how it's getting kind of almost like coffee grains. That's kind of the consistency that we have right now. So we're just going to keep stirring this for a couple minutes until I'm pretty happy with the coverage that we got on here. I might hit a little bit more paint here once I get it all stirred out. But this will give the look of carpet quite convincingly. I do this on pretty much all of my car models that I've ever built, really. In the past I used flour, like back when I was a little kid. It works, but this works way, way, way better. So I'm gonna just add a tiny bit more paint. Actually, I'm looking at it up against the car, and honestly, I don't know if I need to, because the wood grain will pretty much work its way out once we sift it again with the thinner sift. Yeah, and it really almost has a wet powder feel to it right now. Yeah, I think we're going to be actually okay. I think that was enough. So now, what we're going to do, I have an old cookie sheet here covered with aluminum foil, and I'm just going to kind of put this out and spread it out. Now you might look at it and think, oh, there's not that much there, but the reality is when we actually go to sift it over the car, it's going to be a very, very thin grain. So you don't really need that much, honestly. You're going to have a lot more left over than you actually use. But since I am building 2 of these, I might go ahead and mix up the rest of it just so I have extra and it's the same color. So yeah. Alright, now what we're going to do after I mix the rest of it, we're going to let this sit overnight. I'm going to come through and just basically sift it up like this every hour or so, for a couple hours until I go to sleep anyway. And then tomorrow we should have pretty much powder, and you can already see it's kind of doing that. So all right, I'm going to mix up the rest of it, and then I'm going to come back and we'll be right back. Okay, so here we are a night later. That has dried overnight, and you can see it's a powdery type grain. So we're going to sift it out yet again and basically hopefully get it to a point that it is where I want to use it. Now, looking at it, even with the little bit of chip that is still in there, I do think that I'll be able to just kind of respray it with the airbrush to get anything out that still has a little bit of the wood in there. I need to find a little bit bigger of a container here. Let me pause a second and I'll be right back. Here we go. This should work a little bit better. So again, I'm just going to kind of sift out the bigger particles, and once we have it basically where I want it, then we're going to go ahead and apply it onto the body. Well, the interior tub, I guess you'd call it. So it's really just a matter of getting as much of the big chunks out as possible. And what you'll have left is kind of a real nice fine powder. This does take a couple minutes just to sift it. So I'm going to pause it because this will be kind of boring. But once I get it done, we will get the tub back up here and start to apply it. So I'll be back. Okay, so we got it pretty well sifted out at this point, and like I said, I might have to touch up a little bit of the wood that's still there with the airbrush once this is all said and done. Now to apply it, what we're going to do is basically take some Elmer's glue, or you can use Mod Podge, but you want something that's kind of more of a water soluble, just for ease of installation, honestly. And realistically, it's wood, so this glue will work perfectly fine for what we're doing. So I'm going to basically just paint it onto all of the carpet area, like everywhere that I want it to apply to. Because of the size of this model, I'm going to have to probably do this in sections, just because, well, how big it is, and I don't want the glue to dry as I'm going. So I'm going to do the front part of this hump real quick, and we'll do that on camera, and then I'll probably do some more of it on camera and some more of it off camera, just as we kind of go here with it. So really just want to get decent coverage so that it's got somewhere good to adhere to, and obviously avoid getting glue anywhere where you don't want it to be, like on the console. Now, because I didn't really match it up to the car yet, I don't know if I'll have to scrape away a little at the edge where it meets the body, but we'll figure that out as we go. This little detail where the little footrest is there, I want to keep that because that would be kind of a vinyl look in real life. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take our foil pan from last night, and we're going to sprinkle this right on there. And you can go as heavy as you want. It's not really going to matter because once you are done, we're just going to dump it off. But you want to get enough to make sure that the glue is completely covered. And you can kind of give it a little bit of a shake and flip it over. And what you'll have left now is what looks like carpet. And like I said, I am going to end up having to airbrush it. I know that for a fact. It doesn't always 100% adhere, the paint, but it does give a good convincing carpet, and literally cost all of 50 cents and some cutting of boards, which I was doing anyhow as I redid my son's room. So had the sawdust around, and yeah, here we are. So I'm going to go ahead and continue doing this, and then once I get to any part of it that might be of interest, maybe around the door panel or something like that, I'll come back to the video here. I mean, door panel literally is just making sure you don't get it on the door panel, and just run it right along the edge here. But really the biggest trick to this is just making sure the glue doesn't dry. So we'll go ahead and get this on, and then I'll be back. Okay, as you can see, I got pretty much everything covered now except for the last little bit of the transmission tunnel here, and just showing that because I don't know, it's the last part to do. And then I will lightly hit it with some flat black. I'll probably end up taping off the seats first because I really kind of like the sheen that they have right now, and I think it looks pretty accurate to the scale, so I don't really want to disturb that. So basically that's pretty much how you do the carpeting. So what we'll do is go ahead and sprinkle this on, and then what I'm doing next in the build I'll show you is I'm planning on seeing if I can't illuminate the dash lights, and what my thought process is on that. What I want to do is cut away the back of the dash, and then I'll actually cover it with some white styrene, and I'll have a light back in behind it that will come on when we turn the headlights on and everything like that. So that should work. Alright, so there we go. There's our carpet. I'm going to go ahead and spray that up, and then we'll come back and probably start playing with the dash a little bit. I think this interior video is going to be more than one video at this point, just kind of seeing how this is going so far for time. But that's okay, because I'm waiting on an AC bracket to finish up the engine, and we're still trying to figure out a way to possibly get an upper control arm created so that we have the ability to make a working suspension. So more to come with that as we go, but let me pause it here, and I'll get this touched up with some paint, get the airbrush out, and then we'll come back. Okay, so after doing some touch up, there's what we got, and it's a pretty convincing carpet, I do believe. Definitely pretty happy with how that turned out, so there we go. I like it a lot. So next up, like I said, we're gonna get the dashboard and try to see what we can do for doing some illumination. So that's gonna be the next phase. Okay, so here we have our dash, and as you can see, it's already painted. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna end up cutting out this piece here, well, part of it anyway, because that is our cover that goes over top of that. So basically fits right in there. Now I'm gonna end up painting this kind of a aluminum shade, because I looked at many pictures now of the Smokey and the Bandit car, and it was more of a brushed aluminum, not this chrome type look, but that fits in there. So what we're gonna need is basically a hole behind here that will have light capability, and I'm gonna put a piece of white styrene behind there. Then we have a special treat here. This is the raised decal set, and you can see the detail on these decals, which is quite amazing in comparison to what comes in the kit. So it appears that there's two different dash sets here. So both of them, though, you can see they even have odometer readings on them. The decals, or the detail on these decals, is just fantastic. You can even read, you know, your diagrams there and all of that. So it is far superior to the kit parts that we get with our model kit. So that is them. I just want to verify with the person that's getting this which gauge set he wants before I go ahead and put them on. But in the meantime, I can start cutting and painting this to get it ready. So we'll be back here shortly. Scratch that. I didn't have to reach out to him, so I should have just read. This set here is the 1980 through 81 version, so that's not what we need right now. We need these. So this is our gauge set for the build that we are doing. So again, this also has an 80 to 81 and then a 79. So we're going to go with the 79, I do believe, at this point. So anyway, gonna get ready to do this and place on back side of the dash bezel. I'm just reading a moment. But yeah. So what I'm gonna do to kind of make sure I get my sizing right, I'm going to put these up a minute so I don't damage them, because they are rather hard to come by right now. And I know he's doing a little bit of redesigning on some of it from what I understand, so I guess more to come with that in the future. But let me put that up here. Okay. Alright, so what I'm using is a thin piece of styrene, and what I'm going to do is basically trace it out so that I know exactly where I want my gauges placed. Once I find my styrene here. Oh, here we go. Okay. So this is thin enough that light does go through it, and should not give us any issues for what I'm trying to do here. So that's more than enough. And essentially what I want is a piece that's going to be basically from here to here, made it a little bit bigger than it needs to be, and then I'm going to trace out the holes for where the gauges are. Now, I'm not going to be cutting the gauges out. This is more of a guide for placing the decals onto the white, because I want to be sure that where I place them is the right location. And see, I just would have made a mistake here. So it being upside down to what I'm doing, would have made them not line up. So I need, first I need to cut the edge here a little bit because it's hitting that AC vent. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to mark my center and then draw it out. it should be pretty dead on. Okay, now behind the dash is going to go a lighting set, because I'm going to, we'll end up showing how we're going to wire it all and everything as we go, but I'm going to be using bulbs like this, which will be just inside here. So now that I'm actually looking at this, I don't even know if I need to completely drill this thing out. I think I can actually drill small holes in here and get the effect I'm looking for. That'll be even better. Beautiful. Okay. So now we want to kind of get our bearings of where this needs to be, which needs to shift over. So I need to trim it a little bit. Okay, we're getting closer. Okay, we're almost there. The more I'm playing with this, I think what I'm actually going to do is cut out my spot here. I'm going to drill a small hole right down the center, and then I'm going to cover over with white and forget the whole marking of this, because I don't know if I really need to at this point, now that I realize that it can kind of just sit there. Yeah. Alright, so let me grab a small drill bit. I guess I got one right here. That's exciting. And that's the one I was looking for. We're going to just cut right into the center. I'll take the white off for now, because I'll drill that from once I get it. Oh, the white's actually not going to be drilled anyhow, so it doesn't need to be drilled. So I'm going to drill these out in the center so that I have the hole where my light is going to go. Okay, first one. And then as soon as I get that, or as soon as I get these drilled out, and then I'm gonna repaint this piece of diamond plate. While I'm doing that, I'm going to do some of the detail working on the radio deck down here on the dashboard, because that'll take me a minute to get that right and looking pretty. So this is going to take a couple more light bulbs than I planned, but that's okay. I have several of them, and they'll be fine on the circuit, so not a big deal. I'm going to be using just a 12-volt power supply. similar to what I've used on Titanic and Lusitania and Queen Mary 2 and all the other builds that I've done in the past. Now, I wish I had a way to make the brake pedal work and illuminate the brake light like you can with the DeLorean, the Eagle Moss DeLorean, but that is just a little bit above my pay grade and experience level. But it would be a cool effect for sure. But I do think this is going to give me the look I'm looking for, at least for the dash lights. Okay, now, got that. So I'm going to go ahead and paint this and drill these holes out a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to start working on the radio here while we're waiting for this to dry. I do need to do a little bit of trim work along the edges here because a little bit of the sprue is left over, but nothing major. Just looking for my file. Oh, got the piece. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and paint that a while, and then, like I said, I'll start doing the detail work on this, and we will be back. Okay, so we got our holes drilled, and we're going to just basically insert our lights in here, and they fit perfect, which is awesome. So I'm excited about that. Now, these lights already have resistors in them, so I don't have to deal with stepping them down at all. So that also is exciting. And basically, they're just going to pop in there. I got one extra. That's okay. We'll probably use that for a dome light or something later. But there we go. So what we're going to do from here, I know that once my engine and all of that goes in on the front, there will actually be a cover where you won't see any of the wiring, which also makes me extremely happy. So I'm going to cut this short, not the video, but the wiring. I'm going to cut this about right here. And now what we're going to do is strip away all of our red and black sheathing so that I can solder this together and basically make it into one circuit, or one part of the circuit, so to say. So basically, just I'd like to have about a ½ inch to work with when it comes down to it, because we're still going to need a power wire connecting this. I should be using wire cutters, but I'm not. Just got to be careful that you don't overcut and cut your wire. Now, because of having to drill this and do this with the wiring beforehand, I'll probably end up just respraying the dash quick, just so I know it has a good finish on it after I mess around with this. But I want to get my wires basically preset to the length that I need, so I can just plug them back in. as soon as I get it done painting again. So I'm going to basically bring these together in a bunch, starting in the center. Okay. So I'm just twisting them for right now until I get my power wire, which I'll do in a minute here. Then we'll solder that on. And the same with the negative. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get these ready, and then I'll get my power wire around, and we'll come back, solder them up, and put some power to it and see how they shine. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I don't have this soldered yet. I just wanted to do a test here and see how this comes out. I did run the wire extremely long on purpose because I'm not exactly sure where it's going to end up connecting to the next piece down circuit, so I'd rather have too much than not enough. And basically this is my power supply, so I'm just going to, oh, okay, there we go, we got light. So now we're going to put this over here, and as you can see, it will show through there, and once it's kind of mounted down, it will give the effect that I'm trying to get with the dash, because here is our, yes. So we will basically now be able to put our decals onto where they belong, and they should show through perfectly fine. And then over top of the decal, I'm going to end up putting a piece of clear, not styrene, but acetate, so that it'll give it the lens appearance. So let me go ahead and get this unplugged, get it kind of positioned, and I'm going to mark out right now where my center is on the paper, or the styrene, just so I can kind of get my decal placement. Okay. So there we go. That is the plan. So anyway, I'm gonna push that back just a little bit. Just so when it rests on there, it's not right against the plastic. That was kind of giving it that bubbled look. And then we'll kind of glue them in so they don't fall out down the road. Oh, little pun I did there. Okay. Now, if I pull it back a little bit, so I might put a spacer over here on the bigger ones so it illuminates a little bit more. I'm going to play with that, but I'll use I'll basically just be using pieces of styrene strip to kind of raise it just a little bit. So let me pause it and we'll be back. So I ended up putting just a touch of yellow paint on the top of the light there, just to kind of dissipate it a little, because 70s lighting would not have been LED, so that should darken it, not darken it, but kind of subdue it a little bit, and they would have been incandescent lights anyway. So there we go. Hopefully you can still see it well, but it has a better tone to it. So that's what we're doing. Okay, all right, so I've done a couple little experiments here with how this looks, and it actually shines through pretty perfect, and that's before the paper's off. But I am going to go with the individual ones. Just kind of, you can kind of see that there, and it will shine through better, like I said, once the decals actually worked off. Now I gotta paint all these bezels here black, and the heater control right here, so I'm gonna work on that, and then we'll come back, put the decals in, and pretty much wrap up this video. Applying decals is, I mean, pretty basic when it comes down to it. So basically I'm just making sure that I have the decal pretty well centered in the place that it goes, the gauge pod. I already have these ready to go on, so just basically have to cut them. And when I'm putting them on, just setting it, and then if I need to move it at all, I didn't wipe off the water yet, so I can simply slide it over as needed. Okay, that looks like that's going to be on. Yep. Perfect. Okay, we got one more to go. Then we're going to put some acetate over it. Okay, gotta move that one a little bit. And there we go. Now throw the lights on a minute. We'll see how that looks. Okay, so we got lit gauges now, and got the effect that we're going for. So I'm going to put some acetate over it, and we'll finish up a little bit of detail on this radio, and still got to do little green blinkers and a couple little details on here, and then we'll pretty much finish it up. Okay, so just kind of a quick view of what it looks like as if you were looking at it. So everything's just kind of set here right now. The seats aren't obviously in, they're just kind of there, but you get an idea of what's going on and where we're headed. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. Thank you all very much for watching, and hope this is helpful. We'll see you next time here at LC Model Shipbuilding.